Huh?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
You're listening to Scream with Ryan C. Showers, the podcast for Scream fans just like you. Join Ryan every week as he takes a deep dive into the horror film series that defined the 90s and redefined the genre. Scream with Ryan C. Showers is your source for scene and quote analysis, character dissections, and the latest news about upcoming installments of the Scary Movie franchise.
I hear you like horror movies, Kirby, but do you like them as much as him?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Scream with Ryan C. Showers podcast, where the film critic meets the Scream fan twice a week, every Tuesday and Friday. I'm your host, Ryan C. Showers. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. Welcome to the show, everybody. Today's episode is going to be a thought experiment I had once about the casts of the films. And I kind of broke them down in different ways. So I was thinking about the male casts of the sequels, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, versus the female casts of those sequels. And then in addition, thinking about how big the cast ensembles are versus just taking the huge ensemble of all of the characters, all 20 characters in a movie versus just the 4 or 5 or 6 characters that matter the most to the arc of the story. And thinking about which sequels have the best bigger cast versus the best smaller cast. So that is kind of the vibe of this episode. It also features 2 of my longtime supporters and friends, Huddy and Allie. And it's a really fun discussion, and I hope everybody enjoys it. Then after that, Ashley and I give our initial reactions to The Life of a Showgirl. So for context, this is Taylor Swift's new album, as though I need to tell you that. But for context, we recorded the ending segment literally on Friday afternoon before, the world really went through this album. And the reaction to this album has ranged from a lot of people loving it, a lot of people hating it. There's been a variety of things, and it's been kind of wild, crazy, even toxic. I can't believe the passion of hatred, that angrily intense this conversation became about this album. I think it's a pretty light album to elicit those kind of emotions. It's very surprising. Before I go any further, I need to thank the producers and administrators of Scream with Ryan C. Showers. First, I need to thank TJ Jones, who does all of the graphic design work from the podcast. Also, I need to thank Ashley Summers, Mark Vieira, Sarah Campbell, and Sam Levy for helping me keep the podcast and Patreon community afloat. Thank you to everybody who subscribes to the Patreon at any and every tier. I'm an independent entity, so any bit of support that comes into the Patreon goes back into the podcast. Joining the Patreon gets you ad-free and early access to every episode, as well as the opportunity to join the community of the show. We have group chats across social media. In particular, Instagram is really the hub of the podcast community. More importantly, joining the Patreon is the vessel in which you would use to come onto the podcast, either in a one-on-one situation with me or a small panel. In addition, there's a guaranteed invite every month to a big group Zoom recording about a Scream topic. An exciting feature of the podcast is the audio commentary episodes. Every Scream fan knows what it was like listening to Wes Craven do the audio commentaries for the original trilogy and Scream 4, with Marianne Maddalena and Kevin Williamson and Patrick Lussier. And what I'm trying to do for my Patreon subscribers is I am going to be performing an audio commentary of a Scream or a Scream-related movie, 1 per month, every month. And my goal is to try to approach these as I'm doing deep analytical analysis about the characters, about the themes, about just general reaction. So it's something that I'm really proud of, and I hope continues to be a cherished part of the podcast. So the commentary is available as a normal podcast episode for anybody to listen to like they would any other podcast, but it will also be available as a video watch along. So everybody, please go over to Patreon, subscribe to Scream with RCS. I would be eternally grateful. So I need to go through and thank everybody over at Patreon who is subscribed as a stab investor or a daddy/mama Ghostface. So the daddy/mama Ghostface of the Patreon are Carrie Tenney, Brett Janovich, Corey Wilson, and Stevie Shears. The stab investors include Allie, Mark Harim, Tamika Jones, David D., Gustavo Mora, Jess Mariano, Joey Nobarini, aka The Vault, Josh Calamari, Josh Carr, Scream Queens podcast, both Josh and Justine, The Horror Project podcast, Kevin Abner, Mark Vieira, PWO5, aka Philip Douglas, Quentin Harrison, and Sam Levy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scream with Ryan C. Showers. I'm your host, Ryan C. Showers. So everybody, please welcome my dear friends. First, Allie, Detective Wallace.
Hey, hey.
How's it going?
It's going good. I'm always happy to be here.
And Mark Harim was supposed to be here, and he bailed. And now that you say this, so Allie and I were talking before, and he also bailed. The last time it was a Amar Allie moment. So clearly Amar needs to get his shit together.
We're going to have words. I'm very, very upset.
Oh my gosh. Well, Allie, please tell everybody where they can find you online.
I'm on Twitter at Allie_cat_BSG. I'm also on Blue Sky, same name, but hyphens instead of underscore.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Hoodie, Roy Garza. Oh my gosh. So,
What's up?
so Hoodie, why don't you tell everybody about your podcast?
I have a podcast. It's called Hoodie Talks Pod. It's kind of evolving. Like, it's a little different. Pretty much me and my wife, we just talk about what's going on in our life. Every now and then I'll do movie reviews. And right now, technically, I don't know when this one's coming out, but for me in real time, next week will be our 100th episode.
Which is so exciting. Congratulations, Hoodie. Like, that's so cool. When did you start your show again?
In September this year, we'll make it 3 years.
I'm proud of you. I mean, because like, it's really hard to do a podcast. It's really hard to do more than one episode a week sometimes. It's really hard to get past the first 10, 20, 30 episodes, and you're here. So I love your passion, my man.
Thanks. And a lot of it came from you, like listening to yours and like finally being able to get on your podcast. It kind of like, because I've always wanted to do it, but then I think when finally was a guest on yours, it's like, I can do this. So it's like, I finally like put my foot down. I was like, no, what? I'm going to start my own.
Well,
and now I'm 100 episodes later.
Be proud of that. Like, congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Hoodie, why don't you tell me what, of all the episodes you've done on your show, what has been your favorite?
I want to say, it's funny because I was just recording today for the 100th episode.
Wow.
But I think my favorite episode has to be the first one with my wife.
Well, that's sweet. So, listener, Allie and I were on Hoodie's podcast this past year because we are a 3 for 3 Scream fan crowd here tonight. So we all rank Scream 3 in first place, which is so cool. I love that. And Allie and I were privileged enough to be on Hoodie's podcast to celebrate its 25th anniversary this past year.
It was an honor.
Yeah.
And thank y'all for coming on.
Of
I
course.
really do appreciate y'all.
Well, so I have something I want to ask each of you. Okay. So you've been around a long time. I've known you guys since before Scream 5. What's your favorite episode or favorite memory about Scream with Ryan C. Showers? Allie, you go first.
If I have a favorite episode, like a specific one, but like obviously every time that we get to talk about Scream 3 is just like delightful. Honestly, like I think my favorite thing is just like our friendship.
Yeah.
Which is like, super fucking cheesy, but feeling sentimental, I guess.
Love it. Oh my gosh. Well, so listener, Allie and I did an episode about Roman Bridger back in season 1. And that is crazy to think. So they each Allie and Hoodie were on episodes in season 1. Like wild to think that, right? And Allie's episode was Roman. It was like his big spotlight as a killer. I haven't listened to it since it came out, of course, but I remember listening to it. And I was just so happy with it. I thought that we both did a really nice job of talking about our favorite killer. So that was fun.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it since it came out either. So it feels like forever ago.
Well, Hoodie, how about you? What's your favorite episode or memory, or what you got for me?
I think my favorite episode is 112, is the y'all's Scream 7 script. Only because the fall of Scream 6 is what we had at the time. And then did it come out before or after? I'm tripping.
It was, so Scream 6 came out in March of 23, and then Joey's script came out of June of 23.
Okay, so it was after, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, I remember being at work listening to you read the script, and like the ending of it, I was just like, oh my God, like this is like would be one of the best Scream movies.
I have to bring up Allie in terms of, I remember her first reaction to Scream 7. She was live texting me. A bunch of people were. I think you were probably too. But Allie texted me. It was first thing in the morning. So Allie must have listened like as soon as she was going to work. There's a scene in Joey Valisi's Scream 7, episode 112, where Christina, she's an alcoholic, right? We learned that from Scream 5. And she storms into Freddie Prinze Jr., who is her ex-husband, and Sam eating dinner, and she's drunk. Tara has died, and this is like the middle of the movie, and she's drunk. And I remember specifically, Allie texted me. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. She texted me. She's like, Christina's off the wagon. I was just, that just came to my mind. Allie, do you remember that?
I do. And full disclosure, it wasn't just while I was on my way to work. I was listening to it at work. I was literally walking around the store, and I would just like stop dead in my tracks to just listen, like when something like caught my attention, or to stop and text you. Like literally I listened to it at work.
I mean, I'm glad that it was effective, and I hope that people like the final Scream whenever it comes out. So, Hoodie, I love how much of a participant you are in the podcast. Like, so Hoodie texts me almost after every episode, and he gives me like his thoughts on the main topic, and he gives me his thoughts on the Taylor Swift song, and he tells me like if he's listened to it before, if this was his first time, and what his thoughts were on the song. He gets a gold star as a Scream with Ryan C. Showers listener. So thank you, Hoodie.
Of course. Because I've always liked Taylor Swift, but I never was like a Swiftie. So like now that you're doing like the song of the day and it's a Taylor Swift song, I'm like, okay, now I have an excuse
Yes.
to listen to Taylor Swift. Not that it's a bad thing, but
Well, I love it. And how do you? So your first episode way back in season 1 was on Richie and Amber in Scream 5, which is crazy to think about. Why did you choose that topic? I
I
forget.
don't remember. I don't know. I think it's because I liked Ember as a killer only because like her little like things that she does, like the ee and stuff like that. I think that's why I picked that topic.
Wow. So, gosh, so many memories. It's so weird to think about how long we've been friends. And here we are on season 5. So, thank you guys for everything you've done for the podcast. And I can't wait for all the adventures that lay ahead of us with Scream 7 and hopefully 8 and 9 and whatever else. So many fun things to discuss in the future. Honestly, like you two are two of the people that like I don't know if I could do the podcast without you guys. And just like like Ali was saying, the friendship, emotional support, just feeling like somebody cares and someone out there is like, on my side. Heard this quote a lot recently, which is like, if somebody easily turns on you, it's because they were always looking for a reason to. And that's not you guys. You guys are the opposite. Like you guys are just like the greatest friends in the world. So thank you.
You're gonna make me cry.
Oh my God, we cracked the Wallace. Oh my God.
But I wanted to point something out. You have shared on Facebook, I don't know when it was, but it was like your ranking of the I Know What You Did Last Summer and the Scream movies. Like I went and looked and I was looking at the comments of of that section. Oh my God, the people that don't understand Scream 3. I wanted to go to war for you in those comments, but I was like, it's not even worth it.
Listen, having a podcast and like having a podcast that's like tied to a fandom where people have very intense opinions, not only about the movies, but also about like the actors and to go even further, the actors' political beliefs. It's a nasty ass business. It's nasty. It's gross. It's tough.
What's the quote from 5? Like, how can fandom be toxic? Easy. It's real easy.
I could write the book. First-hand experience, November 21st, 2023. So that's how the first sentence would go of chapter 1.
Was our fandom this toxic or did Scream 5 bring this into existence?
It's a good question. What do you think, Al?
I think 5 had a lot to do with it.
Hoodie, what do you think?
I think 5 going into, the end of 6 is what made it really toxic.
Yeah.
But I also don't have a whole lot of experience with interacting so much with the fandom before 5 came out. Like before I started talking to you and stuff, is like when 4 came out was, 2011. It really like I wasn't a part of, was I a part of Twitter then? I don't know if I was on Twitter yet or not. So like I didn't really have people to talk to about it. So I wasn't in that like group chats, Twitter, like social media phase when 4 came out. So like I don't know what it was like before. So I don't really have a comparison, but it really did amp up after 5.
I have a very big answer here. So Hoodie, do you have anything you want to say in response to Ali before I go? Because I'm ready to explode.
Because I think I was on Twitter, but I didn't realize there was that big of a fan. I thought I was like the only person that really liked Scream like that. So I didn't realize there was people out there like me until I found your show.
Did you follow Wes back then?
Did I? I think so. Because I think that's how I got all like the promotional stuff and stuff like that.
First of all, I think that almost all fandoms are toxic to an extent. I see this because I've been involved in different fandoms. I've been involved in different bubbles on the internet. Like, for instance, the Oscar world, toxic as fucking shit, okay? But I think every fandom that has like very passionate supporters and people who have their own beliefs about something, it's bound to be toxic, and I think Scream was on the peripheral because it wasn't really involved in the internet culture until Scream 5 and 6. Yes, there was Scream 4, and like, it's hard because back then with like the original trilogy and 4, there was a different kind of toxic. There was, because Scream 3 was the biggest target for people. People hated on Scream 3 in really unfair ways. At the same time, we talked about Scream in a smarter way. So the way that we talk about Scream on this show, that's how we used to talk about it. But at the same time, Scream 3 was also made fun of a lot. Now, in the advent of Scream 5 and 6, I think that it got worse. I think Scream 5 brought in a bunch of new fans, or maybe not even Scream 5. Scream 6 is what really made it toxic because, and it's also just an interesting case study. And I want to hear what you guys have to say after I kind of set this up. But like, it's just interesting because Scream was known for having these original characters and this consistency with Wes Craven. And the thing that made Scream special as a slasher, right, was that it had the same main character. That's what a lot of us loved about it. And then for it to come back and kind of tear that away from us and kind of give us new characters and really disrespect the old characters and push them aside, that's tough. You know what I mean? And it's like almost like just the way that Radio Silence went about doing things and making choices in Scream 5 and especially Scream 6, I think almost created this divide where you have the older versus the younger. And I think the younger fans, they are still very young. And I know that's like the dumbest thing I've ever said, but it, being someone whose brain isn't developed, who's still coming into their own, and growing up and maturing, that's a recipe for disaster. So, and then on top of that, you have Melissa, which is, to me, like, I think Scream 6 made things really, really toxic because you had the younger crowd who thought it was the greatest thing in the world. You had everybody else being like, maybe not. And there wasn't a conversation that was allowed to be had because if you didn't like Scream 6, you were this or you were that or you were this or you were that. And then once Melissa was fired, it went from being toxic to being radioactive, catastrophic because of the way that partisan issues got intertwined with Scream. And it became about like this idea of like, if you are a Scream fan, then you must be this bad thing. Or if you're either a Scream fan or you're a Melissa fan. And then death threats got involved and all these horrible things. The short answer is it started with Scream 6. It completely exploded with Melissa. And now I think we're picking up the pieces and kind of reforming a new thing. So Hoodie, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. It did happen after Scream 6. And I feel like it's because if you don't agree with their opinion, they get so frustrated and flustered. I'm like, dude, we can agree to disagree. It's like I could get so frustrated and mad if people though in that comment section when they were saying Scream 3 is the dumbest Scream movie. I'm like, I could go lose my shit and, go off on people, but I'm like, okay, that's their own opinion. It's like it's okay to have your own opinions about things. So it's like I don't understand why everybody's so mad about everything.
The reason why is I think that the Scream 6 crowd, the Melissa crowd, they believe that standing up and screaming at people is activism. They think that they're doing good in the world. That's where it's so fucked up. And it's just like the two sides can't coexist. And it's like, where does that leave Scream? And I guess that leaves Scream with the original fans because we're the ones who are still here. So Allie, what are your thoughts here?
Good. You really nailed it. It's tough because everyone's so passionate, right? And everyone wants their voices to be heard, but like you don't need to scream from the mountaintops. What happened to just like having a discussion? Like you guys said, like everyone's entitled to their own opinions, and they take it to such extreme levels that it's like that's not what this should be about. And I mean, I'm like you said, you're no stranger to toxic fandom. I'm not either. Like I've been through some shit. I'm old, Ryan. I was in AOL chat rooms. I was in chat rooms. I need to take some Tylenol for my back pain.
Is the X-Files this toxic?
It has been. Not as much back in the day. I think much along the same lines as having like Scream 5 and 6, having that new generation. We had the revival seasons that were 2016 and 2018, something like that. That it creates new fans and gets new people watching and interested. And there's also a whole, it's a whole new level of social media and ways to talk about stuff, and it gets toxic too.
So I had this idea for the podcast, which is to talk about the cast ensembles of these movies. So you have, I was thinking about it in terms of specific categories, okay? So I would like to evaluate the cast ensembles, which movie wins based on these 4 categories. So the first one is best overall cast ensemble. This means every single member of the cast, whether it's a smaller cast like Scream 1, whether it's a bigger cast like Scream 2, an even bigger cast like Scream 4, whatever. So like the whole shebang, every character who's listed in the credits, okay? Male, female, whatever. Then I want to ask which film has the best female cast and which film has the best male cast. And then which film has the best central cast. And by central cast, I mean the characters who would have like the top 5 or 6 characters who have the most screen time, who we spend the most time with, who are the most important to the movie, who aren't there to just be, filler. So we're going to go through those 4 criteria. And I think that we're going to exclude Scream 1 just because Scream 1 could probably win. many of these categories. So I want to just localize it to the sequels. Let's just gauge, okay? So if, off the top of your head, for best cast ensemble, aka every single person in the credits of all the films, which would you say for the sequels? Allie, what are your thoughts?
I think I'm gonna go, and this should surprise no one, Scream 3. I like that we get stab versions of them also. That kind of really like widens it to see like a different side of them, because you have, it's like she's Gail and I'm Gail. Like you get that, like the way that they play off of each other, because they all have scenes, they all have some kind of interaction. The core three, right? Like the OGs, like they all have those interactions with their other, like their counterparts. So it's kind of fun to see them like play off of each other. Plus you get Detective Wallace, you get Detective Kincaid, we get Maureen in ghosty dream form, like having the Roman and John Milton, like you get, it's just such a vast, like it is a big cast, but you also get enough from everyone, right? Like you get quality out of all of those characters and you get to know them just enough.
So Scream 3 is like where my heart is in terms of this, but I do differ. So I'm wondering, Hoodie, what say you?
If we're doing best overall, I think I agree with Allie with this Screen 3. Because, like, the way she said, like, we get time with everyone. It's like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I mean, Scream 3 is my favorite. So it's like, I'm going to pick Scream 3. But I do like any little thing we get with the other characters, like, especially Tyson, the little parts where we get with him where he's like, don't look at me. I didn't steal shit. And then the part where he's like, oh, you motherfucker. Like, just stuff like that. And I just think Scream 3 has a better cast.
So I don't want to spoil my answers for Scream 3 later on, but I'm going to go with Scream 2. Okay. And here's why. I think you guys make a good argument for Scream 3. I think that Scream 3 has a really underrated cast ensemble, from the trio to Parker Posey to Scott Foley, Patrick Dempsey, of course, the heavy hitters. But you also have Cotton there. You have Liev Schreiber, you have Patrick Warburton, you have Lance Hendrickson. Like Ali said, Carrie Fisher is here. So, I mean, like there's, we stretch very far. But I will say, I'm going with Scream 2 just because the characters in Scream 2, there's a lot of them. And I don't think that we get to spend so much time with all of them. There's a bunch of them that all matter in a way, but they're not all so significant, right? So, you have the trio, of course. You have Jerry O'Connell, Elise Neal, Timothy Oliphant, Liev Schreiber, Laurie Metcalf, Jamie Kennedy, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jada Pinkett, Dwayne Martin, Omar Epps, Portia de Rossi, and Rebecca Gayhart, and David Arquette's father. These are all people who we remember. They're very, very supporting roles, but they're not like hit you in the face like we're all so important. So there's a wide range of people in Scream 2. And Scream 2 was cast and they picked the actors kind of based off of the moment. And I think that of the moment actors, having Sarah Michelle Gellar here, having Jada Pinkett Smith. So I think that Scream 2 is the best because I think because it's so large and the roles are smaller, I think that it's right for it to win this category as opposed to other categories here. So any thoughts, Allie?
I really like your answer to that, and you're very right. It is very of the time. It's peak late 90s. It's got a lot of heavy hitters and like popular people. I mean, is a draw, right? Like that's, for a movie release, like here's all these popular people. And they do really work well together.
Yeah, Scream 2 was my second. I was gonna pick because of all the same reasons you just said, because like y'all just said too, the people of the time, like it just made sense. It made the cast even better.
Awesome. Well, let's skip over the guys and gals for a second and go to what I'm calling the central cast, meaning like these are the top 5 people who have the most screen time that matter the most. So in Scream 2, I've designated the central cast to be Sydney, Gale, Dewey, and Derek. And I put Hallie just because she actually has quite a bit of screen time. She's with Sydney in the cop car. She lives with Sydney. But even Hallie doesn't feel like a central member of the story. Like people don't talk about Scream 2 and think, oh yeah, Hallie at the level of someone like Jennifer. We don't talk about her in that same way. And that's kind of what I was looking for in terms of prominence. So that's what I have for Scream 2. For Scream 3, the central cast, I have, this was the easiest for me. Sydney, Gale, Dewey, Jennifer, Kincaid, and Roman. Like that is Scream 3. Those are the people. They're all fucking awesome. They're all 10 out of 10. The trio is at their best. So there you go. Scream 4, the central cast. This one's also easy. You have the trio plus Emma Roberts and Hayden Panettiere. So again, very simple. And they're all pretty good here too. They're all really solid and strong. After you get past Kirby though, it's like the characters they don't feel so urgent to the story, if that makes sense. So then Scream 5, I have the sisters, Sam, Tara, Richie, and the trio. Again, after you get, once you get into the friend group, they don't really matter as much as the people we mentioned above. So, and then for Scream 6, I have the core 4, Kirby and Detective Bailey. I don't even have Gail. Just sad. Oh my God. So, okay, so of the central casts here, of these small groups of like the most important cast members, which do you think is the best?
Say 3, just because like you have Jennifer, you have Roman. It's just like they seem like main characters because they carry so much. Like when we talk about Scream 3, you remember Jennifer, you remember Roman. So it's like out of all those sequels, I feel like Scream 3 has the best one.
Yeah. Allie?
Hold on to your hats. I think I'm going to say 4 because Kirby and Jill are such strong characters and they bring so much to it, especially Act 3 with Jill is just phenomenal. With Jill and Sydney and Kirby. Like there's so much weight to that. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Very, very solid points for 3 also.
So you made a great point. Scream 4 would be my second choice because how do you get better than Nevin Courtney and Emma and Hayden? I mean, those are heavy hitters right there. And they're all really important to not only Scream 4, but the legacy of Scream overall. Jill as a killer, Kirby just as a character, in terms of how she goes on to survive and be in Scream 6. However, this is where I am like resoundingly Scream 3. Like everything I love about Scream 3 is the trio and then the other 3. Roman's the best killer. Roman's Sydney's brother. Roman's the reason for the season. He ties everything up in a bow. Jennifer is one of the most iconic characters ever. Parker Posey has become legendary as a meme from Scream 3. And Patrick Dempsey, Kincaid is, for a long time we thought he would be Sydney's husband. But even without that, he is a great character. He's an active part of the finale. He's a suspect. He's a romantic interest. He's a hero. He's a great, great character. He drives the story and he's he brings the seriousness to the beginning when Sydney's not there. So it's, I think Scream 3 is easy hands down, especially because the trio really are at their best. And that's the one thing about Scream 4 that kind of knocks it off for me is David Arquette is kind of weaker in Scream 4. He doesn't have so much to do. A lot of his scenes were deleted. So I think that he's the one thing that holds the Scream 4 central cast back. Any response, Allie?
If we want to change my answer, you make excellent points, as always. Moving on.
No, I mean, I agree with you, so.
Cool. One last thing about Scream 2. So in terms of why, I feel like there are going to be hipsters out there, annoying artsy-fartsy people who are going to insist that Scream 2 is this for every single category, but it's not, okay? Because we can't even, besides the trio and Derek, there is no central cast to Scream 2. So enough with that. But it's just that their roles are all so tiny versus Scream 3, the trio, Jennifer, Kincaid, and Roman all have, a lot to do, a lot of screen time. So that's the difference, I think. So, okay, moving on. Let's do the guys first, then we'll do the girls to finish up. So the best male cast ensemble. Allie, what say you?
I think 2.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I do really like Derek. I like that we have really quality time with Cotton. I love Dewey. I love Randy. Yeah, I think I'm going to go 2 on this one.
2 is good.
I want to say 2, but I want to go with 3 because you have, Roman, you have the 2 detectives.
So clearly, I think Hoodie and I are on the same wavelength tonight because I'm also going with Scream 3 here for the guys. And this is kind of surprising, right? Because, of some of the lower tier members of the cast, like the Patrick Warburtons, the Dion Richmond, those characters aren't so dense and rich like the characters in Scream 2. But if we're looking at the greatest number of male performances in Scream, I think it's Scream 3, okay? So you have Dewey. I think Scream 3 is Dewey's best. He has a lot of screen time. This is his most screen time of any Scream movie. So you have that. You have Roman, who works alone. He's a solo killer. He gets a lot of intimate scenes with Sydney. He's a brilliant guy. You have Patrick Dempsey, who is very outside the box. There's no other character like him really in Scream. And then from there, you also have Cotton. I've also warmed up to the Stab 3 cast. I'm not going to lie. I like Matt Kessler and Dion Richmond is good. Josh Pais, we have to give Detective Wallace some love. And also the actor who plays John Milton, Lance Henriksen. He is a heavy hitter. He was in Aliens, so I think it's Scream 3. I think that Scream 2 would be my next choice just because you have, let's see, you have David, you have Jerry, you have Timothy, Liev, Jamie Kennedy, Dwayne Martin, Omar Epps, like that's a compelling thing. But I think that Dewey, Kincaid, and Roman, those three are so strong in Scream 3, it just pushes it up. Again, Scream 2, it's just their screen times are a little smaller. And I know that people are going to say, well, that doesn't matter. It's about quality. But the quality is there with Scream 3. So I'm going Scream 3 for the guys. So, Allie, any thoughts?
You really making me feel like an asshole tonight for not picking the Scream 3 on everything. I do agree with you. I'm standing my ground on males in Scream 2 because I also did forget to mention Mickey. His performance is Act 3 phenomenal.
The last category here is the best female cast. Okay. I have my answer, and it's not going to be Scream 3 just because like I don't want to be repetitive. And like Ali said, we want variety, and I want people to actually take this seriously. I don't want this just to be a Scream 3 fest. Like, so, for instance, like the way I kind of made fun of the Scream 2 people, because I know that there are just people out there who think that they're so smart. Of course, it has to be Scream 2 for every single category. No, it doesn't. But so again, I picked Scream 2 for one, I picked Scream 3 for two of them, and this last one for best female cast, I'm not picking either of them. So, Allie, what are you picking? You can pick whatever you can pick three or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Now's my chance. No, I think 4, Rebecca and Sydney and Gail and Kirby and Jill, and even for a very, very brief time, Kate and Judy and Judy.
You were going to pick the Mary McDonnell of it all.
That's not the only reason I'm picking it. Like I said before, it's Act 3 for me. That's what sells it, and it's their performances, and she's already gone by then. So I love that she's in it, but that's not the reason I picked Scream 4.
I'm picking Scream 4 because you have Nev Campbell, you have Courtney Cox, you have Emma Roberts, Hayden Panettiere, Marley Sheldon, and then you have Alison Brie, Kristen Bell.
Oh, yeah.
I just feel like Scream 4 had a better female cast.
I think that Scream 4, this is absolutely Scream 4. Scream 4 has the best female cast for sure. You have not only the legacies, and also the legacies doing something very different. Like the Sydney in Scream 4, different Sydney than 1, 2, and 3, like that arc. She's on a different wavelength here. Gail is too. Gail is comedic, so there's variance in their performances. But also you have Emma Roberts, who is one of the greatest killers of all time, being iconic, right? You have Hayden Panettiere, who is, again, iconic and legendary for Kirby. You have them, but you also have like Marley Shelton, comedy gold, Alison Brie, comedy gold. And like we said, all the Stab Girls at the beginning are really like big name people. Kristen Bell, Anna Paquin is an Oscar winner. Come on. So for me, I think that Scream 4 is also like the most feminist. I think it's like the most that like the female perspective is given to in a way. And I don't know, it's just like because Dewey doesn't really get such a great role in Scream 4, and Charlie, the killer, the male killer, he's not so compelling. It goes to the girls. The girls are center stage in Scream 4. So I think that's actually a very nice variety and depiction of the categories to have Scream 2 win cast ensemble, Scream 3 be best central cast and best male cast, and Scream 4 be best female cast, for my opinion. I think that there's representation across the board, and none for 5 and 6. I'm sorry.
And none for Gretchen Wiener. I agree. Scream 4 is very female driven, and they really steal the show.
Because if you look at the two, like, I guess, quote unquote, endings when they're at Kirby's house, the guys get killed and it's just the girls. And then at the hospital, Dewey gets knocked out and then it's just the girls. So it's like,
and even like the openings, right?
and it's just girls, yeah.
I think that this is Scream 4's moment. So to quote Jill Roberts, So, all right, folks, this was a really nice recording. Amar, you better be sorry you missed it. Okay, so one last thing to exit the show. What would you say you're most looking forward to about Scream 7?
Looking forward to, because I feel like we are going to get not necessarily a big cliffhanger, but I feel like we're going to get something at the end that pushes Scream 8, because they already rumored that it's somewhat greenlit, that they're already in early productions. So I feel like they know that this movie is going to do good. But I feel like the reason they're doing that too is because there has to be something at the end of this movie that's going to lead to a Scream 8. Because Kevin Williamson wanted to do that with Scream 4. So it's like, now he gets to do this with Scream 7. So I feel like it might not be a huge cliffhanger, but I feel like there's something that doesn't get answered that gets answered in Scream 8. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice. Cool. Allie, how about you?
I'm honestly, because I am trying to like not read or see anything about it aside from, casting and like those are like early set like scenery, like town photos or whatever. I'm trying to stay as spoiler free as I can. So I'm honestly looking forward to how we're getting the people that we're getting. And I don't want to, like, in case other people are which I don't know how they could with if they listen to your podcast. Like, I don't want, I don't want to spoil it for other people, if they're not watching stuff too or whatever. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing how the cast is being utilized. I'm curious about the new faces. I'm excited for the old faces. I'm excited for the faces that I'm hoping that we're going to get that have not been announced, because I
Okay.
do want there to be surprises still, and I'm pretty sure there will be. I'm really hoping that we get some good cameos and that it's a quality story.
Nice. I like it. And the idea of surprise, both of you guys are, I guess, some kind of surprise in terms of whether it's the ending cliffhanger or if it's, other cast members that we haven't learned about, which I definitely think that there are going to be.
There's so much that everything gets spoiled. Devil Wears Prada 2. There's just video after video after video. I mean, okay, yeah, they're filming in New York, so like it's hard not to, see that kind of stuff. But it's like, I miss the days before social media sometimes when it comes to stuff like that, because there was so much of 5 and 6 that got spoiled in advance. And I want that. I want to be surprised. I want to be like shaking in my seat, either out of excitement or fear.
That's a great thing to hope for in Scream 7.
Because I don't think I'm gonna watch a trailer for Scream 7. I really don't.
Come on.
I don't want to,
I
because I feel like
I
with Scream 5, everything got ruined for me. And
I
then
feel the exact same way. I'm gonna let someone else, like Ryan, watch the trailer and tell me if it's safe to watch.
maybe a teaser.
But yeah, if it's like a quality, like actual teaser, like give me mystery.
So you
Like,
guys are saying that if I do group Zooms about the teaser trailer and the full trailer, that you guys aren't going to watch them and you're going to skip the group Zoom just because of that.
fuck Ryan.
I mean, these are
Maybe.
already planned.
Maybe. I don't know. See.
I didn't get spoiled that much with Scream 6, and I did the teaser and full trailer with you. So
Yeah,
I mean,
the 6 trailers were much less spoilery than 5 in the fucking house.
Yeah. Well, 5 was a long time ago. Can we please forgive Paramount for that?
Never.
I got one more thing though. You know how like Scream 5 was like Scream 1, Scream 6 was like Scream 2. Do you think we're gonna have a lot of like Scream 3S stuff with this one?
I don't want. To be honest, no. I don't think that we will. I think that this is going to be Kevin Williamson doing his own thing, making the. I don't want to be mean, but making chapter 5 of the Sidney Prescott story being original and doing things that we haven't seen before, that aren't just a retread of the past. I think that in the way that we had that blueprint, for 1 and 2 equals 5 and 6, like that's boring. People don't want that. I think people want to see something fresh and exciting and a new story being told, like we had with Scream 2 and 3 and 4. At least I hope so. I don't think Kevin would do that. Kevin's not that lazy.
I agree with that. It's too, it was cheeky and fun in 5 to have all these callbacks, and even kind of the same, it got to be a little too much in 6 with the similarities to 2, even down to a parent. It felt a little too much. As much as we all love Scream 3, I do feel like it should be something new and something different.
Yeah,
I think had we gotten the Scream 7 that was about Sam and Tara was going to be in it, I think that they probably would have done the 3 thing and had homages, but I don't know. Again, I think that things work out for a reason. It's just so disappointing to me to just sit here and think about ooh, there was a time before the Baileys, before the Bailey family, you know what I mean? And the idea that they just really copy and pasted Scream 2 in that respect, it's just so deflating. It just feels so uninspired and so unoriginal. And I just hope that we can get that wonder back, that curiosity, that wanting for something fresh and exciting and something we haven't seen before. That's what I want. And they had that opportunity with Scream 6, and they ended up just doubling down and doing the college thing and doing the family thing.
I agree, because like I said, I don't want it to be another Scream 3. I really want them to do something new.
Yeah. And I think that they will. And honestly, I hope that Scream 8 does something new too. I like the way that Halloween did its own thing. I mean, sure, the 2018, there's homages to the original, but it doesn't feel I don't feel like I'm watching a retread of the original. I think that there are some Easter eggs and inspirations, but 2018 Kills and Ends are all so uniquely, vividly their own movies, right? Their own story structures. Whereas the story structures of 5 and 6 mirror so closely to 1 and 2, it's just kind of a shrug and a deflation of creativity.
Yeah, I agree.
So okay, guys, this was a really nice recording. Thank you for discussing and naming the best cast ensembles of the franchise. So thanks, Hoodie.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on.
Of course. And thanks, Allie.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. I always have the best time talking with you and anyone else except Amar.
I think the subtext of what Allie said to Amara right now was burn, bitch. So
Maybe, maybe not.
hello, everybody, and welcome to The Life of a Showgirl with Ryan C. Showers. I'm your host, Ryan C. Showers, and joining me is the showgirl here, Ashley. Hey, Ashley.
Well, hello, everybody. How are you?
Are you okay?
If you cannot tell, I do not feel great. I've been taken down by a pretty bad cold, but Taylor is slowly curing me. Conrad Fisher and Taylor Swift are the only things keeping me going, guys.
So, listener, we are coming to you on Friday, October 3rd. So, this is Mean Girls Day. It's Nev Campbell's birthday. Again, happy birthday to Nev. But also today released was The Life of a Showgirl, Taylor Swift's 12th album. We were so excited this morning. We were going to wait a couple of days to do like a proper review, but I thought, why not have like the most genuine, honest reactions right up front?
Really like it. I had a lot of fun. I think it's really different from what we've got in the past few albums. I did what I normally do, which is sit in a dark room completely by myself and listen to the album. I listened to it once and then I listened to it again, listening to the lyrics, because I like to not see the lyrics the first time and just like take it in and see if I can hear it properly. I just had so much fun listening to this album. I feel like there's some darker themes throughout it, but it's pretty fun. It's not too crazy. I think some people thought she was going to release like a club album, which I personally don't really know how that would go. Like, obviously, you hear the critics, and it's funny because with Tortured Poets, this is too long. Guys, this is too long and this is too deep, and I don't know what she's talking about. Why does she have to use big words for every single song? And this one is
This one
wow.
sounds.
She
Yeah.
only released like this many tracks, and also like it's a little bit too poppy. Like, where's the singer songwriter in her now? And I'm like, holy shit, everybody, calm down. Like everybody, and I think you just don't like her, and that's fine.
With the Torture Post department, one of the critiques that bothered me so much, and it still does, is the people who said, well, every song sounds the same. It's like, clearly you aren't paying attention or you're not investing anything. You're not actually like, you're not trying here. You're not like, actively listening. I don't think that can be said here. This, for me, I'm very pleasantly surprised by The Life of a Showgirl. I was kind of afraid that it would be less of the Taylor that I know and love and more of like a plasticky version of her that wouldn't feel like her. And this been such a great morning because I feel like the Taylor that we got with The Life of a Showgirl is like, I feel like it's almost like a confirmation. Like, she's not going to abandon the, folklore, Evermore, Midnights, Torture Poets, like the arc that she's been on, focusing on the lyrics. Even if you have a more upbeat production, which she definitely does, the lyrics are still very deep. They tell specific stories. They're very smart, and that to me is why I love Taylor Swift. The relatability, the way that she tells the story of her life through these songs and through these concepts and ideas. And that was not lost despite her efforts to make it a more fun album than some of the past albums, for sure. So I was really happy about that. And I in the New Heights podcast, she talked about wanting to make an album that was concise and tight and that had a cohesive message and themes and whatever. And for me, she achieves both of those. I think it's concise and tight. It's 12 songs. They're all relatively short. The lyrics are very cut. And I do feel like it is part of a cohesive vision. And I've heard some people criticize the idea that she didn't lean into being a showgirl enough. Like, they were expecting Moulin Rouge, I guess. I don't know. But
Yeah, they wanted cabaret.
But that's not Taylor. That's not her experience. Like, the question of Travis is something that has been kicked around a lot from people, right? How much is she going to talk about being in love, and how will she talk about it? And for me, the way that she approached Travis in this album, I do think that she was pushing the envelope a little bit for herself. But again, it falls in line. It's just, for me, it feels like the progression of Taylor Swift as opposed to the regression of Taylor Swift.
Completely agree. My friend and I were talking about it, and I think sometimes people get caught up in the name of an album. Like, they're like, it's The Life of a Showgirl, so every single track has to be inspired by a different musical, and every single song is going to sound like Lin-Manuel wrote it, and it's going to be like this and that. And I'm like, not every single song on Red had to do with like the color red. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just the name, and it's just encapsulating what The Life of a Showgirl. She wrote this while on a big tour. That's what this is about. Like, It doesn't have to be anything. And you can tell that she was in that fun. Like to me, it sounds like On the Road. It sounds like the struggle of that, the fun of that, the love of that, like finding love while doing that, discovering parts of yourself that haven't healed through doing that. And just being like when you're mad, you're mad. When you're happy, you're happy. And I feel like this album is just being in the background of that. And I think it sounds like you could be on the road listening to this. And I think it sounds like it was inspired by different types of performances. Like I think you can hear 70s influence, and I think you can hear 50s influence, and I think you can hear influence from what you would call like a quote unquote showgirl, like
Mhm.
maybe doing some dance with a feather boa, but then also a burlesque dancer in Vegas or a girl on the stage in Nashville, like at a small bar. Like I feel like showgirl like doesn't mean one thing in the concept of this album personally, but I'm having so much fun with it.
It's a lot of fun. How my day kind of started out. So I know a lot of people stayed up to listen right as it was released. I did that with the Torture Pose department, and for me, I don't do well when I don't sleep. Even if I get less sleep than usual, I'm kind of a bear. I don't function well. I can't think as well. So I prioritize my sleep. So I went to bed early last night and I got up at 5 a.m. I usually get up but between 5 and 6. And my boyfriend leaves for work 5:30. I make my coffee. We have our house is decorated for Halloween. So I turned on the Halloween lights. So my house is just lit up with orange lights, orange and purple lights. And I listened to the album from start to finish. And it was surprising in the best ways for me. I felt like the Taylor that I know and love, she wasn't trying to force an idea of her that wasn't authentic and true. I think the way that she depicts like where she is emotionally, even like with the beginning of the album, with like this idea of the fate of Ophelia, and like you said something on the podcast that was so funny. You're like, her fate wasn't that great, whatever we were predicting it. But she answers that question. She's saying, "Thank you, you saved me from being Ophelia."
One of my favorite things about watching this love story that Taylor's been feels like she's wanted to share with
Hmm.
people once she felt comfortable, like in being like, yeah, this is the person that I love. This man, all he did was go on a podcast and say, I would like to take Taylor Swift out on a date. And the girl was like, holy shit. But I think she's saying like I finally found somebody that is willing to put up with all the crap that comes with my life. I'm having a lot of fun and I feel really happy right now. And I'm just gonna talk about that. Fun to hear her sing a song about being like you saved me from feeling this fate inside myself of being like, maybe I'm never gonna be good enough. Like maybe I'm never gonna be like Taylor Swift doesn't personally need saving. But inside, I think she felt like, I just want someone to feel like they wanna be my Prince Charming, like, they wanna be that guy who comes in and, like, holds me when I'm sad and cheers me on when I'm happy, and I'm having fun with the album.
So let's just think here. So in my opinion, the themes of this album, or what she explores with the songs, are obviously being a performer, but it's not being a performer in the same way that people. But I think there is that element of being a performer in every single one of these songs. There's the element of like her own personality and her own struggles that comes through in songs like Eldest Daughter. There are songs about her growing and changing, and there's also just her typical like, I'm kind of bothered by something. Let's talk about it. Like, what's it? Actually Romantic. That song was so fun for me because it was not what I was expecting at all. She takes the song Canceled, which I personally think I think it's her talking about Blake Lively and basically saying like, I'm still friends with you, girl. I don't know. Is that how you took it or no?
I took it
Yeah,
too, is saying like, yeah, like,
I get it.
we're in the trenches together. I
Yeah.
understand what you're going through, and, like, this is a person who, when in my darkest time, stood with
Hmm.
me, so I'm gonna have this person's back too, because I think when someone gets quote unquote canceled. Now, first, I will just formally say, there are people that deserve to be quote unquote, publicly criticized, and I don't wanna ever hear from them again because they are actually either criminals or did something actually repulsive and terrible. And then there's people who were maybe misunderstood or did something when they were 16 and have done a lot of growing since then, or you know what I mean? Like there's humanity, there is a spectrum on how we can look at what people get criticized for. And sometimes it feels so like on the nose and it's like this person's bad. But then like 6 months later, we love that person. And it's just like it's so silly and half of it is just crap that people are spewing on other people for no reason. But I completely agree. I feel like Canceled was almost like a love letter to being like her friends and being like, hey, like, I've got your back. Having a friend that's like, I'm gonna stick by you no matter what is lovely. And sometimes even when your friend does something wrong,
Yeah.
like if you think like my friend might have made a misstep here, if it's not on a polar extreme, like sometimes a polarizing extreme, like sometimes you can be like, yo, I'm gonna help my friend because clearly something's going on. And I'm gonna be like, yo, you made this big mistake, but like you can work.
And I'm here for you. And like I'm not going to turn my back on my friend just because you all have found a reason to cancel her. So I thought that was really wonderful.
Yeah, and, like, on the same note, like, she can also release a song being critical of somebody else in the public eye,
Hmm. Yeah.
shitting on her all the time. So, like, I don't know the lore, guys, like, that is not type of the stuff that, like, I, like, choose to pay attention to, like, I feel like I've seen, like, 2 narratives of being like, "Oh, like, you can't say, like, you don't want someone to get canceled and then release something harsh." And I'm like, "Oh my god, like, this is so stupid." Like,
People are allowed to
also,
talk
like
about whatever they want to talk about.
that's what I'm saying is like it's like you're allowed to be critical of something that bugs you,
Hmm.
and you're allowed to call somebody out for whatever they want, and they are allowed to come back and call you out again. Like they're allowed to do that. Women shouldn't be going against women. I'm like, no, we shouldn't pit women against each other, but women are allowed to criticize each other. Women are allowed to be like, I don't like what you're doing, and the other one can be like, okay, well, I don't like what you're doing. And they both can be right in their own measure. Like I'm not taking a side in this. I'm just saying like they're both allowed to do that.
And the way that Taylor talks about it, it is a chapter in the life of a showgirl, being a performer, being someone who's in the public eye. And like I kind of alluded to, I can identify with it. So the song is called actually Romantic because what Taylor's saying here is like the obsession that some people have about talking about her, hating on her, about putting negative energy out into the world about her, that it's you really you're in love with me with how much time and energy you're putting into me. And I can get that because I've thought about this a lot, over the last 2 years with like the Melissa people with me, and it's just like you guys are in love with me. You know what I mean? So I get what Taylor's saying. It actually struck a really deep chord with me. Like, this level of obsession, even though you're putting negative energy into something, it's still energy. So I think that's what Taylor's saying. I think that there's a good point to the song as well. It's not just a diss song. I don't consider it a diss song. I don't know. Ash, anything?
Yeah, no, I think and I don't think things necessarily have to be directed at one person. It's not that serious.
Yeah. Well, Ashley and I are going to play a little game here. We have not discussed what our favorite songs are. I'm going to guess hers. She's going to guess mine. Think Honey. I know I predicted that for the last one. Am I right?
No, but I do relate to that. But that isn't the one that like I heard it and I was like, oh my God.
Father figure.
The way that like well, one of my things that like I personally feel quite often is that I have been told that I give off like a pretty like bubbly, like hee, like kind of personality. And I've been told if people think I'm either really quiet and shy, and I'm like, what?
I don't get that at all.
Or they think that like I'm like just like crazy and like giggling all the time. And I'm like, no, I have more to my personality. And I feel really underestimated sometimes by people in my life and the mistaking my kindness for weakness. I strive really hard to like put kindness like forward in my life. Like that's something my mom taught me is like working hard. Like it's not hard to treat people kindly. And like I'm not always good at it, but like, that doesn't mean like I'm gonna like not stand up for myself. And when she said like my dick's bigger, which is a line in the song, it made me think of this time I was at a bar. This guy came up to me and he looked me up and down, up and down. He goes, "If your tits were bigger, I might be interested." And Ryan, I looked him dead in the eye and said, "If your dick was bigger, I might give a fuck."
Well, so if Father figure isn't your favorite, okay. I'm
No,
sorry.
that is my favorite.
What is your favorite? So it's the
Favorite, and it's the one that like so far it's my favorite. That and I really like Canceled.
Yeah. Well, so first of all, I have to say I like every single of these 12 songs. I think all 12 songs are fucking fantastic. I like them all. I can't wait to listen to them all and really absorb them. And like, so we aren't talking so deeply about them today because like they are still fresh. Like we are, I haven't even seen the movie yet. I'm going to the movie like momentarily. So this is like initial reactions from the gut. But, but just for perspective, everybody, like, we still need to live with them a little bit more and like really ingest everything that she's saying with them. But Ash, okay, so what do you think? What's your guess for my favorite song?
Two initial thoughts, like,
Okay.
immediately, I was like, "Oh, I feel like Ryan will like this," and that is "The Fate of Ophelia" and "Opalite" were the 2 songs that I immediately thought, I feel like these could be Ryan jam sessions, but I don't know if that's just so I assume you're gonna like them.
I do
But then I
like
was also
them.
like, maybe Elizabeth Taylor. I might be complete opposite. I don't know. I'm scared.
So my two favorite songs are like my second favorite song is Wood. I think that it is such a banger. My God, it's so fun. The beat of that song. I am not typically a music production person. I'm always a lyric first, but it's a party dance song. She goes there with Wood. Like it's very explicit in terms of describing like
Mhm.
Travis. And just like we kind of talked about in our prediction
We all
episode,
know what we're talking about.
Travis is
She
Wood.
compares it to a redwood, so I think we're fine. I mean, and he's a giant man. So he's a redwood too.
And, his love was the key that opened my thighs. My
Mhm.
God. My God. Love it. But my favorite song so far, and this is hard because I like Eldest Daughter. I cried during Eldest Daughter listening to it the first
Mhm.
time. But my favorite song, and I love Fate of Ophelia and Opalite, both great. Both about Travis, I think, and a nice arc there of those first couple songs. But my favorite is the same as yours, Father Figure. I love Father
Yay!
Figure, which is fun because Ashley and I we never match up like 100%. I love like a badass kind of song, and I love an arc in a female character like in movies or TV shows where let's just say daughter, father, or there's been a betrayal and she has to stand up for herself and kind of like take ownership over the situation. Think like Buffy and Giles when she feels betrayed by Giles, and helpless, or in season 7 with Spike, and that moment of like where she is now the person in charge, she is now the patriarch, and I think that it's the same arc here with Father Figure. And I just think it's such a interesting. First of all, the lyrics are, "I can make deals with the devil because my dick's bigger." It reminds me of this movie with Jennifer Lawrence. It's called Joy. It's based off of a true story, and she has to fight for her vision and her company, and her family kind of betrays her, and she has to go head to head with this like dirty business guy, and she ends up winning in the end by just standing up to him. And I feel like that is the arc and the spirit of this song. I've never felt so empowered by a Taylor Swift song. There's like a specific thing like where someone used to be on your side and there's a betrayal there, and it's like, no, I'm in charge. Thank you, I'm in charge.
Yeah, no, I love it. I felt you could have like a montage of all these different like characters, like Erin Brockovich when she's like standing up to all those guys in the movie, and she's like, "No, like I know this case way better than you losers." Like, and all these moments where like Arya Stark is like, "No, I'm gonna kick your ass," and just like there is this dynamic of her being like, "I'm not gonna put up with this anymore," but from like her imagining it as like her being a mob boss and like being like, "No, you don't understand who's in charge here, sweetie. I am. I don't even have a dick, and my dick's bigger than yours." Like,
Exactly.
and she's like mocking this person. For me, I didn't take this as being like about necessarily one person. I imagine this being kind of about a lot of experiences in the music industry and or just like girlhood and being around like there are guys who just think they're better because they're guys, and just like this patriarchal grossness that is out there. And I think we can all, like, no matter how we identify or what's between your legs, we can all identify with somebody who puts the vibe that they think their dick's bigger. But I will just
Mhm.
say, if you ever give, like, if you're outwardly putting that vibe to everyone, keep it to themselves and are thinking about it and wanting to be like, wow, this is embarrassing and I'm going to take you down in different ways. They're the ones who have the power. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
yeah, girl, go get it. And I was giggling. Like, I was just giggling. I was like, did she just say that?
yeah. But also like this idea like, that she is now like, that one of the lines at the end is like, "Leave it with me. I'll protect the family." Like, and when you're Taylor Swift and you've gone through everything that she's gone through and you've achieved everything that you've achieved, there is something that feels very Sidney Prescott about this. Like, I'm going to be the one
Mm-hmm.
to protect the family here. And there's just something so empowering about like, not having to rely on somebody who thinks that they know better and recognizing the value and the power that you bring to something. And I think that's what Taylor is singing about here. The general feeling and the vibe that she's had as a showgirl. Let's bring it back to the theme of the album, like what she's going through now, where, you know, you go through the Eras Tour, you re-record your albums, you get your music back, you're at the top of the world. There is no, you are daddy. You are the patriarch of your family. And the family of your fans, the family of your literal family, the family of the music industry, you're in charge. And you're in charge of your empire. And, you know, no one better fucking cross you. Like
The song that I sobbed, like I've listened to it 3 times, and both times I have fully sobbed, was Ruin the Friendship. I sobbed like full giant tears. I'm not going to get into the story behind that song. If y'all want to know about it, what I think it is, listen to Forever Winter and you can do your own research. But I have been watching the summer I turned pretty, and it's really about first loves. And the first person that I ever really, really loved, I have never told him. Like I adored him, and like there's the song just being like, "You're gonna regret like not like possibly ruining the friendship." And I don't think our relationship ever would have worked out. Like if anything would have happened, it would have been like a really silly fling or whatever. Like it would have fizzled. I know for sure it would have. But that the 16 to like got too old-year-old me who was just like pining for him, like it still physically hurts my heart sometimes when I see it happening on TV. Like I can feel what that character is feeling. And like this song being like, I never did it. Like I could start crying now because I'm just like feeling how it just like brought me back to like that yearning for somebody and being like, why didn't I just do it? Like, why didn't I just be like, hey, I really like you?
Just to wrap up here, so like I can't even fathom trying to put this album into my ranking yet, just because
No.
it's still so fresh. It would be high, it would be higher for me. And like, you know, the one last thing I want to close out with is like you've mentioned how much fun you're having with it. I'm also having the same amount of fun. It's checking off the boxes of Taylor Swift that I really want, that are important to me as a fan. And there's that, but there's also just the change of this album compared to the last couple of albums. That makes it fresh and exciting and fun. Some people have said that it's, you know, some people have texted me today and said that there weren't the bangers on it that they were expecting or that they felt they were promised from Max Martin. And for me, what I would say to that is like that Taylor's not going to be regressing. She's progressing with what she's been doing and how she likes to make music. I don't think that we're ever going to get 1989 sequel. I think that's what some people wanted, and I think instead we got something completely fresh and new that's somewhat inspired from her previous works of like how her lyricism has evolved with just a different kind of a sound. For me, it's another stepping stone. It's not just giving us the same thing as something in the past just because that album was so much fun.
I also just feel like people's expectations are their own, and like that's like I'm sorry, but like if you had expectations that were not met, that's on you.
Yeah.
Like this is an album. This is a piece of art. It's not like you ordered a Happy Meal and got a Whopper. You know what I mean? Like it might not be your thing, and that is totally fine. Like everybody is entitled to that opinion. But you can't say it wasn't what you were promised because like what are you talking about? You weren't promised anything. Like Taylor Swift didn't say, "Hey, you in the green, I promised you're gonna love this." She never said that. Like she never said that. And like I think there are bangers on here.
I do too.
1989 is my favorite album. I do hear within this album. I hear the fun aspects of this. But like we're also talking about a woman who was like in her 20s to a woman who was in her 30s.
Exactly.
And if she was writing that same thing, like that would be also weird in some ways. Like, and I just feel like having expectations always makes things disappointing when it comes to art. She wanted it to be more pop and like fun and stuff. And
I think it's more pop. I think it's more fun, but with the deep lyrics that she's had before. And I think that this is very different. I don't know. I'm very happy and I'm very satisfied. I'm pleasantly surprised by it. I was afraid that it would be that the lyrics wouldn't be deep enough compared to Folklore, Evermore, Midnights, and Tortured Poets. And that's my number one thing. And she got me. Thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time.
All copyrighted material used or referenced in this show belong to their rightful owners and made possible by the Fair Use Act.
And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, "I'll be right back," because you won't be back.
Get another beer, you want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back!